Okay, so we're currently on. We're live. I'm
Hello
gonna
there.
go to the YouTube for our. I'm gonna go to our YouTube. I'm gonna see if it's like a thing that just popped up. Curious. Let's have a look. I would like to see my channel. Oh, it does say we're live. Hey, here we are. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and post this in the Discords.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Yeah, I'm messaging our friends who also play this game. Okay.
I'm doing it. Boom. That's gone out. And I'm gonna put this into the other one for at here.
I've been furiously painting my hex for Kubla.
Oh.
Pretty excited.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, if anyone joins, we will see it. All right. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for that. And we'll give them a few minutes since we just dropped this on them, impromptu like.
As we are wont to do.
You know what? Ain't no preview like a secret preview. If you don't want anyone to show up,
It's true, it's
I'm just
true.
kidding. I'm just
It really
kidding.
will be secret.
Yeah. How's it going, Heavy Cover? We're gonna start it real soon. Thanks for joining us.
I love it. I wish that was in this game, but sadly it's not.
Well, we have
Haha!
two different kinds. You
We
have
do.
the two conditions,
Yep,
reinforced
yep.
and hardened,
Absolutely.
which did not change. No spoilers there.
Yep. No, it's all there.
Oh yeah, Epic Space Marine. All right. Yep. So I'll kick it off. I'll kick it off in a few minutes just to give people time to hop on, and then we'll do the thing.
Excellent, excellent. I still
Oh, let's say hello to Innis for me.
Hello there. Was it Innis?
Mm-hmm.
I still can't get over the Outward Realms logo. It reminds me of the old Lego space symbol.
Yeah,
Every
that's
time
not a mistake. I love that.
yeah,
That was my jam as a kid.
yep. Mine too. Mine too. Growing up and watching it, I see it. I'm like, oh, dude, that's so cool.
We used to make up these spaceship battles, and the colors of the plastic would be the different strength of weapons. The thing
Oh,
we were
that's cool.
missing, yeah, because like orange is the rarest for us.
Right.
Well, like you could get red transparent bits pretty easily, and then it was
Sure.
like blue, and then the greenish yellow transparent one, and then bright orange was super rare. So, but the thing we were missing was dice. We never thought to use dice for conflict resolution, because I think it would have been a much better game if it had dice.
Absolutely. I mean, at that point, you're like rock paper scissors, right? Like with
It wasn't a great game.
Yep.
Well, let's
Yep.
be honest. The real fun of it was the fact that you got to build a spaceship and you can destroy pieces of it, and so the real world destructibility was nice, but it wasn't super clear how those conflicts were being resolved.
Absolutely. And hanging out with friends too, right? Like
Yeah.
but hey, there we go for people listening, right? Like I want to see the Blacktron realm army. Let's do it. Let's
Oh,
do it. I want the
yeah.
neon green with like the blues and the grays or the blacks and the oranges, like
Moonbase Alpha.
Moonbase Alpha, exactly. The Moonbase Alpha realm. There we go.
I remember they gave you that flat square board that had like a crater in it.
Yep.
Like a shaped crater.
Yep.
And I was like blown away by that. It was my first miniatures terrain.
That's awesome. Yeah, when I first started playing 40K, we were using Lego as terrain features and pieces and stuff. And I got to be honest with you, man. I especially now seeing it on like Twitter and stuff like that, right? People doing what is it, the Gothic building structures for 40K. It's like, oh, dude, this is a tale as old as time, right? Using Lego as terrain.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and people do that too. They'll substitute 40K with
Yep.
Lego and such. Yeah,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
absolutely. Yep. We'll start in about a minute and a half. Kick it
Sure.
off.
Sure.
All right. Yep. 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 Looks great. Yeah, debating power, like the real friend maker. Like, of course I'm right.
Yeah. I mean, every war game has that, right? Like,
It's true. Rules as written when there's no rules. Like, how do you even?
yep. Yep. I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make this.
It's pretty funny. Oh damn.
Fun to watch, but not fun to be a part of, or maybe fun to be a part of
Yeah,
for a little bit.
absolutely.
For a little bit.
All right. We are just about ready to go. Thanks for joining us, everyone who did. I will try to answer questions as we go. Yeah, exactly. You win because your Lego collection's bigger and you have more orange bits, and that they are the most damaging weapon. So. Needed some army building rules, conflict resolution rules, because I think it could have been a fun game then. I mean, it seemed fun, but I was also young. I don't know. Could have been a lot of arguments. I don't remember them. I can imagine that being the case, though. All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and start. This is the Outward Realms Core Rulebook review. Drew has joined us for this highly impromptu episode.
Hello there.
Yeah. And we will be following up this preview by giving everyone access to those rules. But we thought it might be fun to talk about these changes in advance and kind of get people hype. And then this video can later act as a little primer for folks to go over everything. So we're going to talk about the big stuff. There's been lots and lots and lots of changes, but we're gonna cover the biggest of it. You may notice little things here and there that have disappeared. A lot of those were stopgap fixes for current issues in the game that needed the bigger change in the meantime. One of those that comes to my mind in particular was the support category kills not counting for kill additionals. That's gone now.
Oh, I missed that. Even
There's no
playing
need for that any
even
longer.
playing the old game.
That's
Oh, dang.
super gone. But it was there. And it was a stopgap measure mainly for field generators. But anyway.
Mm.
But let's talk about it. So the new stuff in the core rulebook, aside from the lore and all the pretty pictures and such, is double the missions. We've gone from 3 missions to 6 missions.
There's a fourth and a fifth and a sixth. That was not there before.
Literally double the missions. That's
Yep.
right. Yeah. So, and because we really like everyone and we like everyone having a fun game, every single mission has a mission specific rule as well.
These are quite interesting, actually. I love how these have all been streamlined. The deployment, each one has a special thing. So like if you may not remember how mission 1 is zone reconnaissance, you could remember, oh, is that the one where each skirmisher counts as 2, right?
Yep.
Like, okay, that's this one. Got it.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
there's a couple of those, a couple where infantry and heavy infantry count as an additional, and then you have ones where frontal assault, where the construct is special. I would like to note that the humble Hexagoda worker in zone reconnaissance and surgical strike is pretty spicy for holding objectives, as each one counts as 3 models.
oh dang. And then I mean they go down like to a stiff breeze, right?
I mean,
Well,
yeah,
do
it's true.
they
They do
actually?
die. They do die. But
Hex
I just think
have
it's funny.
received some changes, so this will be
Well, we'll
interesting to
get to
take a
that.
look
We'll
at.
get to
Yeah.
that. Oh,
Okay.
we'll talk about that. But I wanted to bring up these new missions and say that I think it'll add a lot of flavor to the game. It'll keep things a lot more interesting, more
Sure.
dynamic. And in conjunction with the missions, it is worth noting that everyone's least favorite deployment template, template 3, the opposing corners template,
The sideways.
the only template I ever saw people just re-roll because they didn't like it, has been replaced with a more conventional deployment template. It's still different than the other two, but at least it won't make people's opinion force them to play the game differently. I'm hoping so.
I mean, diagonal deployments are always hard to do, and I love the
Yeah,
idea that it's changed because, like, you were talking earlier about how sometimes we would re-roll it. We've heard other people, aren't a big fan of it, but at the end of the day, that's almost every. Can't tell you how many 40K games I've seen where there have been deployments similar to that in past
yeah,
versions of the game, where people were like, "Nah, just re-roll it because I don't want to sit there for 10 minutes measuring out what it looks like on the dice, moving terrain to do it." I
right,
think, yeah,
yeah.
being able to put the game on the table and just play, that's what you want to do, right? Sit there.
The Vanguard strike deployment, the
Right.
like 21.5 inch by 30.5 inch corner to corner. I mean, it's it's interesting, right? But
Yep.
it does make people's heads
Right.
feel it does, and it changes the mission substantially. But that's a different game. We're here talking about our game.
Yep.
So yeah, you're
Absolutely.
right. The opposing diagonals, definitely interesting. So that's gone. We hope everyone likes that. People already know who already listened to the podcast about the new armor piercing, but I'm going to recap it here real quick. Armor piercing, huge change. Used to be with an armor piercing weapon, you only got to save on a 6 on the die. All right. The new one is -1 to your armor save unless your weapon is coming from a construct, in which case it becomes -2. That's
Two
it.
from constructs, one in
From
general.
everyone else.
Excellent.
Yeah, one from everyone else. And that leads us into the next thing that I want to talk about, which is why the points changed. The points were all changed. I mean, for the most part. Two things about that. The first being, in OR, I wanted to set a precedent that a unit of multiple models essentially should cost 4 points, right?
Okay.
Everything except for commanders and field generators. Like if you come with more than
Sure.
one model, I would like you to cost 4 points minimum. So everything reflects that. A lot of 4-point units. That's intentional. I consider that the baseline for multi-model units, and I will follow that for both expansions as well. That will
Sure.
not change. So
Right.
people should put that in their head, right?
The armor piercing alone means that things had to be redone, not from like the ground up, but like a lot of units, like say like the entire Batra faction, as we've mentioned multiple times, their entire army had armor piercing, and it's like if you're
Correct.
running against any other army and they're like
Yeah.
sixes, all the damage, sixes,
Right.
all the
It
damage.
was you had to shape the entire game around that mechanic,
Yes.
and it was becoming along with another mechanic, which we'll talk about.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
there were two mechanics that shaped the entire game, and we were bending over backwards trying to accommodate those two mechanics rather than change the two mechanics, which is something you do as a game designer when you like something. The simplicity of it was nice. The amount of oppression in the game was less than ideal.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so, and I'll get to that, Epic. You will definitely hear about that, and you'll like it, I suspect, is my guess. So, that's new points and
Oh,
armor piercing.
real
Oh,
quick, I do want to mention for everyone listening, the commander bonuses are still the same. So the
oh
commander,
yeah.
the
Those have
commander
not
bonuses
changed.
have not changed. Yeah.
We're talking about things that have changed, right?
Got it. Got it. I just
Yeah,
wanted to double check if anyone was like wondering.
these are big changes.
Yeah.
We've added a new terrain condition called concealed. It's kind of interesting. It's a way to turn terrain into line of sight blocking terrain. There are some conditions on it, but that is its intended purpose. I have seen many, many, many boards that did not have any line of sight blocking terrain because I don't know if you know this, but our constructs are kind of big,
They're big
right?
boys.
And if you don't have terrain that's like 7 by 6 rectangular blocks, as a hexapod floats on by, right? Unless you have that, you're not able to have that. And I don't even think that OR necessarily needs much of it in the game to be balanced, given the alternating activations. But I do think it's a factor, and I wanted to give people the chance to add that. So that is in there now.
There's a lot of terrain that people have that have like windows and holes in them and stuff like that, and it's really nice to be able to sit there and be like, let's give this condition to this terrain feature, right? You just
Yeah,
put a dice on it, a little marker, and you know that you can't see through it. I think that's perfect.
absolutely.
Yeah.
let's talk, because I'm saving the sub-faction changes for last.
Oh, sure.
So let's talk about, or not the sub-faction, the faction rules for last.
Yes.
So some sub-factions, there were little adjustments across the board. People may notice, namely, House Sedana had changed a little while back. You'll notice that the minor houses are gone. I never did find a way to make that something satisfying. I think that if you want to do a minor house, that's what the create your own is for.
I was just about to ask you. I was like, why? I didn't
Yeah.
even. I'm not a Realm player, so I didn't know that was even in the rules before. But now that you say it, if you held a gun to my head and was like, "What is this?" I'd be like, "Let's build your own sub faction, right? Like that's your
Yeah,
minor house." Yeah.
absolutely. And with it, and it did change a few times, and it was never, people were not taking it very often, and it just was not well used. So along with it, that was in most of its iterations, it was the counter deployment, the redeploy before the game starts.
Yeah.
It's not a very strong ability, and it would have been stronger with one of the expansions, but we changed how that worked. So it goes away. And the whole thing went away. It was just easier, more streamlined. And along with that redeploy, everyone who had that redeploy got some spicy new rules to replace it. So Clan Kamari, now, when they perform a cloak action, it costs 0 AP instead of 1 AP. And we'll talk about what that means when we get to Batra. In addition, each model in a Clan Kamari unit counts as an additional model for holding or contesting objectives, while the unit has the cloak token assigned.
Pretty freaking good, especially with the missions that have
Well,
heavy
surgical
infantry.
strike, yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of
counts as
interesting,
more.
right?
So that's a good
And
way because
then
Batra have always suffered from having low model count, right?
they
Like,
do, yeah. It is a balance built into their economies. And then you have Obsidian Swarm. Now, friendly Obsidian Swarm units can reroll once to hit when attacking enemy units which have one or more ailment effects.
oh, that's super cool.
Yeah. So if you set something on fire, you can reroll once to hit, and that includes in melee. One of the very rare melee rerolls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty interesting. And everyone else has stayed the same.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was looking at the others,
They've
and I
stayed the
was
same.
like, yeah, I think they're pretty much what they all were before.
But those
Which is still
lore. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, but there's still like the wording on each of these has been cleaned up.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
super, it's very clear what each of them do, and they all sound appealing.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, I'm hoping people are pretty like, oh, that's like spicy. So we have lore bonuses. The new phalanx loadout. Add 2 to exosuit and heavy exosuit movement, and then they also get the reduced damage by 1 to a minimum of 1. So they basically get augment physiology. That is pretty strong.
I was gonna say that's like, oh,
It's big. For people who want nothing but suits, your day has come.
Yep.
For the scouting party, they basically have stayed the same, but how cloak has changed, and also the predation pods being that much cheaper is interesting as well. The hexapod pack was altered a little bit for reasons that will become more clear later, but now all of them just reroll hit rolls of 1 for shooting and melee. They just do it. So they have aim even in melee, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
And so friendly can hit rolls of 1. Oh, yeah, here we go. So friendly units with the construct type can reroll hit rolls of 1. Increased. So there's an issue. I found an issue in the core rule pack already. They put increased aggression twice.
Oh no. So
It's okay.
they're like increased and
Well, they
multiply
just
it.
wrote it. They just wrote it twice. So we found our first public. This is why it's a public review, right?
Sure, of
We
course.
found our first public review issue, which is on page 134. So hey, everybody, yay! Page 134.
So
Duplicate.
so does that mean we can reroll ones twice?
No.
Dang.
And that's actually covered in how dice are handled
Oh, of course. Yep.
elsewhere in the book. But good that got noticed. Bad that it got noticed live on stream before everyone else.
It's
That's
gonna
okay.
happen, man. Dude,
Yeah.
do you think GW really cared about how zoanthropes don't have the synapse keyword
Oh man.
in their own printed book? Like, come the I can't even I can't say it.
Yeah.
We're live. We'll do it live. But
We'll do it
anyways, yeah,
live.
this is I'll take a double increased aggression over the lack of like one of the key keywords for a book. We'll be fine.
OR does not understand the word keyword.
Yep, exactly. That's just not it's not in this book. I can tell you that much.
And for the Nightfall lore bonus Terror from Above, it's now 3 units with the skirmisher type must be included. So it's a little easier to get, and 3 or more cleanser units. So it doesn't care which skirmishers you take, you just got to take 3.
Sure.
Or 2 plus a mind, right? And some cleanser
nice.
nodes.
Yep.
All of them get -1 to be hit while in combat, which does stack with their -1 ability that they can get from adaptation.
Oh, that's so good. Oh.
Yeah, so they can get pretty hard to hit. Focus fire, friendly obliterator units add 1 to the rate of fire for their heavy tachyons, so they're getting more shots.
Yep.
Feels good. And with the points changes, I think people will be like, oh, that is a very spicy meatball. And then with bombing run, adding 4 to the movement characteristic. So all of a sudden, those epic bombing runs just got more epic, right? And it turns it into the fastest unit in the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say that they have a 16-inch move base, or was it 18? I can't remember.
I think it's 14.
Is
I
it
can
14?
look right here.
Okay.
And then you've got they're 14, but that'll move to 18, which is faster than predation pods.
Yep. Pretty
So,
big.
I'm actually, let's see what we got left here. So we've talked about everything's in one place now, so you don't have to look across multiple PDFs, which is great. There is one mistake that we'll talk about, which is it's not much of one, but it is worth noting. The Nightfall Mind card now has an inaccuracy. It's not one that is, it's something you can ignore due to something you'll hear about in a moment, but the armor piercing trait on its weapon is redundant now. Yes, it still has the armor piercing trait. It's just getting it a different way on top of that. So,
right, and then armor piercing again was minus
-1 from every -1.
Yep.
If the attack is coming from anything but a construct, it's -1. If it's a construct, it's -2.
Got it. Okay, so that was my again being testing and things. I was like, wait a minute, armor piercing used to do. Okay, got it. Yep. Excellent.
Absolutely. And actually, I'm going to go in reverse order of what I said. I'm going to do the Botcher last because they changed the most.
They did change the most, actually. You are absolutely correct. Okay.
So let's go. Let's keep people hanging on and do the realm first because they changed the least. But how they changed was, I think, is kind of interesting. In order to streamline them, the recharge action is gone. And now, when you activate a realm unit and it's missing any shields, it gets its half of its shield characteristic rounded up back automatically, which is pretty cool. I think that's a nice way to keep the game more consistent, and it feels good to get shields back just by throwing an activation token on it.
It's very similar to the Hexagoda. When you activate the Hexagoda, they heal. When the Batra, same thing. When the Batra activate, they heal.
And that's another factor. Yeah. Just keeping that streamlining going was really important. I hope people really notice the streamlined passes that have gone through this, but the public review is to catch nonsense, right? That's why we're doing this.
So read it with us, guys. Read it with us. I'm just kidding.
Read it with us. Epic. Here's the Nightfall. So they got one big change, which is exotic alloys. All Nightfall close combat weapons have armor piercing. This means that stacks with the sterilizers rule because it's a different rule, which means sterilizers punch like constructs in melee. -2. Big.
Better roll those 4 pluses.
Very enjoyable.
Yes. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Very enjoyable for folks.
You got a 50-50 of punching even harder than you did before.
I mean,
I love it. They're
And
they're super good.
it doesn't change the dice roll. It's just they're -2 instead of -1. So
Yep.
a lot of those 3-up saves, which are very common in the game, move to 5s. So sterilizers
Cool.
punch above their weight class. I hope that people really enjoy that. Hexagoda. The big change for Hexagoda was how regeneration works. Regeneration's different now, folks. It now works. It's not a flat roll. It's based on the amount of damage being taken.
Yep.
So if 1 point of damage is being assigned on a 4+, it goes away. If 2 or 3 points are being assigned, it's on a 5, the way it used to be, right? And that if it's 4 or more, only on a 6, to represent the greater damage of those weapons punching through.
Yep. I think this to me is really streamlined. Really, like it's like if you're getting hit with like a little piddly, like a little gun, like you got the 4-ups, you're good. You get hit with something a little harder, you get hit with something really hard, right? Like it makes sense. I don't know, it makes sense to me. I really like this.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. And we've to mention Iron's thing. I can't talk about new units. What I can say is we are launching a brand new game this year. So, and if people have been paying attention, they know it's the spaceship version of Outward Realms. It's called Outward Realms: A Call to Arms. We are hard at work on that, and it is going to be a total blast. So, I hope that we also get to launch the expansion at the same time, but we have limited resources and availability of our artists and everything else. And ACTA is the
Top priority.
It's the top priority.
Number
So we want ACTA to get to Kickstarter, and we want people playing it on TTS and looking over those rules and having fun. That's the most important thing. So, and now Batra. All our Batra players wondering what changed. Well, man, oof, so much is different now.
Oh boy.
So every Batra, I'll start with the easiest rule. Every Batra, when they deploy, starts with a Cloak Token. What a Cloak Token does has changed significantly. Every single Batra with the Cloak trait, so everything but a field generator, from shooting attacks, you're -1 to be hit. You have something called stealth systems. So that's just native. You just get it. And in addition, there's something else you get too, which is great. Enemies do not get to reroll shooting attack rolls against them either. So aim does not help. You take the roll as it stands. You can use that AP different way, but don't bother aiming. It won't work. What happens when you have a Cloak Token? Well, something extra. When you have a Cloak Token, you keep it until you're engaged, and then you lose it immediately. But while you have it, against shooting actions, before you make your armor save, so here's how you should roll your dice. The person rolls the number of shooting attacks. They get that number of hits, keeping in mind that there's a -1, and they don't get to reroll. Right? The other person should pick up those dice and put them down, and on 5s and 6s, take those hits out. They're just gone. They're lost. And then they roll their armor save with the remainder. So they get kind of a stacked save so long as they have that Cloak Token.
Oh, so cool.
Now, you still get to draw a line of sight to them. You still get to interact with them. It did bring the cachet of artillery down a little bit, because previously artillery is the only thing that could hit them. Now everything can at least take a shot. It ups the cachet of spray weapons, which auto hit. Right?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Spray is nice. But overall, we found that the removal of the non-interactivity was important for the health of the game. And this is a good balance of durability, like a stacked durability, which you can still interact with, not only because you get to still take all your shooting shots, but if you want it gone, go engage them. Yes, they still all have armor piercing, and yes, they like melee, but you can dictate if you want them cloaked or not.
Yep.
So you have control over that.
Yep.
This has led to situations like in playtesting, I may or may not have charged cloaked units with things like a Batra tank in order to knock their Cloak Tokens off. So
Yep. It also allows the botcher player to interact more with their opponent as well, because they can
Yeah.
still shoot while they're cloaked, right?
Yes.
So you can
Yep.
pull that classic favorite scene from the very first Predator movie, where he shoots the caster and he's invisible, and then he flashes the yellow eyes, and they're like, "What is that?" And then he runs off into the. And you can do that in the game now. That's
Yep.
amazing.
Yeah, cloak no longer limits your actions. You are
Yeah.
free frog. You can do as you please.
Hop as you please.
You may hop as you please.
Yep. Yep.
You may
I'm
reacquire property at your heart's content.
I'm just sad we didn't do this on Wednesday. I would have opened with
It's
the
true.
holy day. The holy
That's
day.
true. Well, it is Wednesday somewhere in the world right now.
That's also true. Very true.
Yeah, it's late enough on Tuesday that I believe that's accurate. I think that's math.
Yes.
But those are the big changes, and so we're going to drop this onto the Outward Realms Discord. It'll stay open the public review period, looking for those duplicate words and duplicate entries and misspellings. It will be going until the 9th of May. So we hope that everyone has a look at it and gets to enjoy it. And we hope everyone enjoyed this, and we were really happy to get to preview it with you all. All right, everybody. We will talk to you later.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.